Welcome back to a chapter a day. Happy Sabbath. We made it safely through another week. God has blessed us with a day of rest, and I pray that you take advantage of it and get that rest in. This day is blessed. It's the only day God blessed, the seventh day. So get your blessing in and take a good rest from everything that the world threw at us for the past 6 days. So today we'll be reading 2 Samuel chapter 18. Yesterday we read chapter 17, in which we see the counsel of Ahithophel, who was Absalom's new counselor. He used to be David's counselor. He went over to Absalom. I think Absalom asked for him to come over. His counsel was not taken. Instead, Hushai's counsel was taken over Ahithophel. And Ahithophel's counsel was for them to go in after David right away and conquer the people that were with him. And Hushai came in and said, that's not a good idea, because you know that David is a strong warrior and those men he have with him are valiant fighters. So he's not even going to be with them when you find them. He's going to be hiding someplace else. So hold off and don't go in just yet. So God worked it out that Absalom listened to Hushai, who was really a go-between for David. He was like David's spy. God worked it out that Absalom listened to him instead of Ahithophel. Now, because God had intended that Absalom was not going to come through this battle. I mean, you going after your father to kill him is just not acceptable in God's sight. God said, honor your father and your mother, not kill them. So when Ahithophel found out that his counsel was not heeded, I'm not sure what took place in his mind, but I guess he just decided he will end his life. Sounded just like Judas. Yeah, what Judas did. And that was the end of him. And Absalom made Amasa captain instead of Joab. That's interesting. I could have sworn I read David. Okay, Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab. So was Joab, so did Joab defect to Absalom? Apparently, Absalom made Amasa captain? Really? Okay, so I'm not sure. I don't know why I kept thinking it was David that made. After I read it, I must have read the right thing. Or I hope not. I'm going to have to go back and play yesterday's video. Okay, so Absalom is the one that made Amasa captain instead of Joab. That's interesting. Okay, so let's go on. And now we are on chapter 18 of 2 Samuel. And David numbered the people that were with him and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die will they care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. And the king said unto them, What seemeth you best, I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So David and his men are preparing to go out to battle against Absalom and his army. Joab is still his captain. I guess Absalom wanted Joab to be his captain, but Joab did not go with Absalom. David is still He's still pining over Absalom. I mean, you know, it's hard. Your children are your children. Whether or not they become your enemies, they're still your children. And he's still pining over Absalom and telling them, don't kill him. Okay, let's see what happens. Verse 6. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. And a certain man saw it and told Joab and said, behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. Okay, this is so weird and funny at the same time. So David was told, no, you're not coming out to battle with us, because that's what he wanted to do, to go to war with his people. That's usually what the kings would do. So they told him no, because we are worth nothing to the people. But if they get you, if they capture you, hey, that's it. War is over. So he decided to listen to them. He didn't want them to kill Absalom. So while they went out to face the two, remember, they are all Israelites, okay? But one set up for David, one set up for Absalom. So they're fighting their own brethren. Mercy. It's like the Civil War, yeah. So they went out to war, and 20,000 men died. They said the wood devoured more people. So that means they maybe got caught in the woods, maybe whatever situations, you know. The woods could be a terrible place if you aren't familiar with them. And the thing is with Absalom, remember all that beautiful hair that he used to pull over the, I don't know if he had it up, most likely up, because it won't really hook in a tree if it's down. So all that hair might have been wrapped up. I always picture it like those Rastafarians or something, I don't know. But the hair might have been in locks up in his head. But either which way, it hooked up in a tree branch while he was on the mule. Because remember, kings' sons and kings rode on mules during war. They didn't have horses per se. So the mule he was riding on went away from him after his hair caught up in the tree. And he was hanging by his hair in the tree, and somebody saw him. Okay, let's see. And told Joab, which is David's captain. Verse 11. And Joab said unto the man that told him, and behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in mine hand, yet would I not put forth mine hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against my own life, for there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldest have set thyself against me. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand, and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about, and smote Absalom, and slew him. Wow, okay. So Joab is telling the man who saw Absalom hanging by his hair on the tree, why didn't you kill him? The guy said, no, I wouldn't kill him. He's the king's son. And the king said, don't touch him. So why would I have done that? So the king could find out and be angry with me and maybe have my head? Or you self might have sold me out and you know, put yourself against me. The man was smart. He said, no, I'm not doing that. So Joab himself did the job with 3 darts through Absalom's heart. And the other young men around them maybe finished him off. Mercy. So they killed Absalom. Verse 16. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled, every one to his tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name. And it is called unto this day Absalom's place. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok, Let me now run and bear the king tidings, how that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, Thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Wow. So I guess Absalom did not have any sons. I think he had children. I remember he named one of them Tamar, but apparently he had no sons. So he had some monument made to himself to be remembered by. He was a vain young man. He was a vain man, period. So after they killed him, they threw him in a pit and piled it up with stones and rocks and stuff. And when one of the priests who were there, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, wanted to run and tell David the good tidings, Joab said, no, not now, because he knows David. He said, not right now. Verse 21, then said Joab, so once the leader is dead, that's it. Everybody turns back. So once Absalom was killed, all the rest of the followers of the Israelites, they turned back. So that was the end of that. Verse 21, then said Joab to Cushi, Go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushi bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok yet again to Joab, But howsoever let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushi. And Joab said, Wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready? But howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, Run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushi. And David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, If he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. So everybody wants to run and tell the king the news. I don't know if they think the king would appreciate it as good news, but two men have set up. The one who went after overran the other one because he so wants to tell the king these news. Okay. Remember when Saul died, yeah? And Jonathan and Abner. King wasn't too happy. Verse 26. And the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter and said, Behold, another man running alone. And the king said, He also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, Methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz the son of Zadok. And the king said, He is a good man, and cometh with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, All is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, Blessed be the Lord thy God, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent the king's servant and me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. And the king said unto him, Turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. And behold, Cushi came. And Cushi said, Tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee. And the king said unto Cushi, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushi answered, The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he wept, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. That is the end of 2 Samuel chapter 18. Absalom was killed, and David is not happy. I guess he loved Absalom, maybe even more than Amnon, because I don't remember anywhere where he was crying over Amnon. He said he mourned his son, never was too sure which one it was. But I think he loved Absalom a lot, and he mourned when he heard of his death. Whew, I'm telling you, all that rise up against you in judgment, and it's terrible that it is a member of your own household, his son, but that's what God said. All that riseth against you in judgment shall be put down or silenced. When he was the Lord's anointed, despite he was reaping the consequences of his actions, but he was still God's anointed. And you're coming against God's anointed for no good reason, even. He had no reason to be fighting against his father. He took revenge on Amnon already. Why are you going to rob your father of the kingdom? God didn't tell you you were going to get the kingdom. The kingdom was given to David. Mercy. We need to be so careful when we think we can fill someone else's shoes or be in their positions. But anyway, God takes care of our enemies, and that's what we need to remember. So thank you once again for listening. Remember, faith comes by hearing God's word. So until, take care. Bye.